Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes life don't ask for permission to hit you, it just hits. It doesn't say, you ready? It doesn't say, hey, I'm about to shake things up. Nah, it just shows up. And before you can even catch your breath, before you can get your hands up to protect yourself, it's on you. And you're on the mat, face down, counting stars. But let me tell you something, and you better hold on to this. Hold it in your chest, deep down in the part of you that don't bend. Life might knock you down, but it's not your job to stay there. You hear me? It is not your job to stay there. You get up, you get up. Not because it's easy, not because you're not scared. You get up because something in you is still burning, still alive. That flicker, that little thing deep in your gut that says, this ain't the end for me. That whisper that tells you there's more for you, that's what you listen to, that's what you follow, and that's what's gonna change your life. But don't think change is gonna wait for you to feel like it. Don't fool yourself. Change don't come with comfort. Change don't show up wrapped in silk sheets and sweet words. Nah, change comes in boots, muddy boots. It kicks the door in, and it says, are you ready to fight for it? You want a better life. You want something to shift. You want something to grow. Then you're gonna have to work for it. You're gonna have to bleed for it, cry for it, sweat for it, and sometimes you're gonna have to lose for it. Lose friends, lose comfort. Lose that version of you that's been dragging your future down. You can't take old baggage into a new season and expect to fly. No, let it go, let it fall. All the excuses, the doubts, the regret, just let it fall. Because you can't build the new you with bricks made of yesterday's pain. You want to change your life, then stop waiting for someone to do it for you. Stop blaming your mama, your daddy, your school, your neighborhood, your boss. Ain't nobody gonna save you, that's your job, and that's the good news, because that means the power is in your hands. You hear that, yours, not theirs. You don't need permission to start. You don't need applause to keep going. You don't need a perfect background, a big break, or somebody else's money to begin. All you need is you, and a decision, a real one, a no-turning back kind of decision. Some of y'all are living your life like you got 1,000 years to waste. You think you got time to wait for the perfect moment. Let me tell you something about perfect moments. They don't come. You make them. You create them. Every single morning that you wake up, that's a new chance to make something real happen. A new canvas. And every day you let pass by without moving closer to your calling is a day you never get back. We don't get this time again. You don't get a do-over on your 20s, your 30s, your 40s. You don't get another shot at being the parent your kid needs right now. You don't get another try at being the friend, the brother, the sister, the son, the daughter that somebody out there's praying you'll be. This is it, this moment, this version of you, and it's not too late. I don't care what you've been through. I don't care what you lost, you are not finished yet. I see people walking around every day like zombies. Eyes open, heart closed, dead inside, and it ain't because they're bad people. It's because somewhere along the way they gave up on believing they were made for more. They settled for what was easy, for what was expected, for what was available, and they forgot they were born to build something. You were born to build something. I don't care where you started. I don't care if you were raised in a one-bedroom apartment with 5 other people. I don't care if you failed out of school. I don't care if you've been locked up, knocked down, counted out. None of that has the final word unless you give it permission. Your circumstances don't define you. Your choices do, and every day you're making choices that either push you forward or pull you back. That's the truth. Ain't no neutral. You're either growing or you're shrinking, either becoming more or becoming less. And you gotta stop pretending that average is okay, that average is acceptable, that just getting by is all there is. You weren't created for average, you were created to rise. Let me tell you something. Excellence is lonely. Success is lonely. Discipline is lonely. You're gonna lose people when you start rising. People will say you've changed, and you have. You're supposed to. The caterpillar don't look like the butterfly. And the butterfly don't apologize for flying. So you don't apologize either. You don't let people who gave up on their dreams talk you out of yours. You don't let small minds trap your big vision. You got something in you that this world needs. You might not see it yet, but I promise you, it's there. That gift, that talent, that fire, and you owe it to the people who believe in you, and even the ones who don't, to become who you were meant to be. You owe it to the kid in you who dreamed big, back before life told them to settle down. You owe it to you, now I know it's hard. I know some mornings you wake up and everything in you wants to quit. You look in the mirror and you see failure. You see someone who ain't where they thought they'd be by now. You feel that weight on your chest, that shame in your gut, that question, why even try? But let me say something to you. Every giant was once a beginner. Every master was once a student. Every warrior was once afraid. It's not about how you start. It's about what you decide to do with what you've got. You don't need all the answers. You just need one reason to keep going. One, that's it. One reason to take one more step. And then another, and every step you take, you're teaching yourself something powerful. I'm not giving up on me. You change your life one choice at a time, one step at a time, one fight at a time. And yeah, it's a fight. It's a fight against laziness, against fear, against the voice in your head that tells you it's too late, you're too broken, you've messed up too bad. That voice is a liar. Let me say that again so it hits different. That voice is a liar. And you can't keep listening to it and expect to win. You can't win the war for your life with a defeated mind. You gotta change the story you tell yourself. You gotta believe, deep in your soul, that you were made for more. That your past is not your prison. That your struggle is not your identity. That your pain is not your purpose, unless you decide to use it that way. Let it fuel you, let it shape you. Let it break the weak parts of you and build something stronger in their place. Let it become the reason you don't quit. Let it become your why, because you've got people watching you, people who need you to win, people who are silently counting on your success to give them hope. And maybe they'll never say it, maybe they'll never admit it, but your victory matters, it matters more than you know, and listen, you don't gotta change the whole world overnight, but you can change your world. And when you do that, when you take control of your thoughts, your choices, your attitude, your habits, you set off a chain reaction. You start something, you light a fire, and that fire can spread to your family, to your community, to your children, to your legacy. And one day you'll look back and you won't even recognize the person you used to be. That version of you who was stuck, scared, small, gone, replaced by someone who knew pain, knew failure, but never gave up. That's power, that's purpose, that's what it means to live. You don't have to be perfect to begin. You don't need to have all the pieces together. All you need is the courage to take that first step. The strength to get back up when you fall, and the faith to believe that this ain't the end of your story. This is the beginning, and when you walk with that kind of fire in your soul, the world can't help but make room for you. Nobody's coming to save you. That's the truth. And it's not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. Because once you understand that, once you really own that, everything changes. See, most people walk through life with their hands out, waiting. Waiting on help, waiting on opportunity, waiting on someone to notice them, rescue them, believe in them. They waste years waiting on something that was never promised. But what if I told you, you don't need saving? What if I told you the key has been in your pocket the whole time? The moment you take full responsibility for your life is the moment you take your power back. All of it, every ounce, no more excuses. No more blame, no more pointing fingers, because you can't change what you won't own. You can't shift a life you keep saying isn't yours to fix. You want something different, you want better. Then look in the mirror and say, it starts with me. It's not your parents, not your ex, not your boss, not the teacher who didn't believe in you, not the economy, not the system, and yeah, Some of that stuff might have hit you hard, real hard. I'm not here to pretend it didn't. Life's been unfair to a lot of us. Doors were closed. People lied. Opportunities got taken away before you even had a shot. But that doesn't change the truth. Your response is still your responsibility. Life will hand you pain, that's part of the deal, but whether you stay broken or get back up, that's on you. Whether you let that pain turn into bitterness or let it push you into purpose, that's on you. Whether you keep replaying that old story or write a new one, that's on you. Now let me be clear. Taking responsibility doesn't mean blaming yourself for what happened. It means refusing to let it define what happens next. It means you stop waiting for the world to be fair before you decide to rise. It means you stop needing everything to be perfect before you start building the life you were made for. You want to grow. Then stop playing victim in your own story. Stop narrating your life like you're powerless. You're not, and you never were. You just didn't believe you had options, but you do. You have choices. You always have. Even when you had nothing, you had you. You had your effort, your time, your voice, your mind, and as long as you've got breath, you've got the ability to shift directions, to take what's left and make something out of it. Too many people hand their power away without even realizing it. They say things like, I can't because they won't let me. I'm stuck because nobody's helping. I'd be further if someone gave me a shot. Let me tell you something. Those are chains. And the moment you stop saying them, you break free. Because no one has more control over your life than you do. Not if you choose to own it. It's easy to blame. Easy to sit in frustration and talk about what you don't have, what didn't happen, who didn't show up. But that conversation leads nowhere. It keeps you locked in the same cycle, waiting for something external to change before you do. You can't afford that, not anymore, not if you want to level up, not if you want freedom. Everything changes the moment you stop looking outward and start looking inward. Because when you do, you realize something powerful. You may not control everything that happens to you, but you have absolute control over what you do with it. That's where your future is written, not in the mess, but in the response. When you take responsibility, you stop wishing and start working. You stop hoping somebody else will build the life you want, and you start building it yourself. You become the author, the builder, the captain of your ship. Storms might come, but now you've got the wheel, you've got direction, you've got ownership. You can't lead a life you refuse to take responsibility for. You can't win a game you keep saying someone else is playing for you. And if you've been sitting on the sidelines watching time pass, waiting for a better hand, you've got to ask yourself one thing. What am I doing with the cards I've already got? Because somebody out there with less than you is outworking you. Somebody with more pain is pushing harder. Somebody who didn't get the chances you had is still choosing to rise. You can either keep rehearsing your limitations or start declaring your responsibility. But you can't do both. You want strength, you want peace, you want confidence, then take the wheel. Stop saying why me and start saying try me. Stop begging life to be easier and decide to get stronger. Because responsibility isn't a burden, it's freedom. Once you accept that your life is yours to shape, you don't have to wait on anyone else's permission to start. You don't have to wait on conditions to be perfect. You get to move now, you get to act now, and you get to rise now. Nobody else has your job, your vision, your relationships, your goals. You do. And until you fully own them, you'll keep feeling stuck, disconnected, and frustrated. But once you own them, once you say, this is mine, good or bad, this is mine, now you can change it. Now you can do something about it. The world doesn't owe you understanding. It doesn't owe you fairness. But you owe yourself a life that reflects who you really are. You owe yourself the effort to try again. You owe yourself the push to break the habits that have been holding you back. You owe yourself the truth. And the truth is, you're capable of more than you've been allowing yourself to believe. No more waiting, no more blaming, no more hoping someone else is gonna carry the load. This is your life. Your name is on it. And what happens next? That's in your hands, always has been, always will be. Change isn't something you wish for. It's something you fight for. And if you're not ready to fight, then you're not ready to change. That's the truth, because change isn't easy, it's not comfortable, it's not polite. Change doesn't knock gently on your door and ask if you're ready. It kicks that door down, throws the old furniture around, and asks you what you're willing to lose to become who you say you want to be. You think becoming the best version of yourself is going to be smooth. No, it's going to cost you. It's going to challenge everything you thought you knew. It's going to pull you away from what's familiar, what's easy, what's safe. And that's why most people stay exactly where they are. They say they want change, but they don't want the fight that comes with it. They want the results, but they don't want the work. They want transformation, but they don't want the struggle. That's not how this works. You want to change your life, then you better be ready to fight like hell for it. You better be ready to fight against your own laziness, fight against your own doubt, fight against the habits that keep dragging you back, fight against the old identity you've been clinging to for too long. Because nothing changes until you do, and that fight, it starts the moment you decide you've had enough, the moment you get tired of your own excuses, the moment you stop sugarcoating your pain and start using it as fuel. It's in that moment when you stand up and say, I don't care how long it takes. I don't care how many times I fall. I don't care who doesn't believe in me. I believe in me. That's when the fight begins. But don't expect it to feel good. Change ain't always pretty. Sometimes it's lonely. Sometimes it's painful. Sometimes you're crying on the floor, asking yourself if it's even worth it. And you know what? That's when it matters the most, because change don't happen when you feel strong. Change happens when you keep going even when you feel weak, even when you feel lost, even when you feel like giving up. Especially then, this journey will test you, life will test you. It'll throw everything at you just to see if you're serious. You'll be tempted to quit. You'll hear that voice in your head saying, it's too hard. It's taking too long. This ain't working. But that voice is a lie. That voice is fear in disguise. And fear only wins when you give it your energy. You've got to fight for the life you want like your future depends on it. Because it does. Nobody's going to hand you the dream. Nobody's going to wake you up and say, here's your breakthrough. That's not how this works. You've got to earn it, day by day, step by step. You've got to make that decision over and over again, even when nobody's watching. Even when no one's clapping, even when you're exhausted. You've got to wake up and fight again. You've got to fight when your old friends don't understand the new you. You've got to fight when your environment keeps trying to pull you back into who you used to be. You've got to fight when the people closest to you doubt your vision. You've got to fight when the results are slow, when progress feels invisible, when your heart is heavy and your feet are dragging. But you move anyway. That's what separates people who change from people who just talk about change, discipline, grit, hunger. The ones who really change their lives aren't the most talented. They're not the most educated. They're not the most gifted. They're the ones who refuse to give up. They're the ones who said, I don't care how hard it gets. I'm not going back to who I used to be. And listen, sometimes you've got to fight with tears in your eyes. Sometimes you've got to fight when your heart's breaking. Sometimes you've got to fight through rejection, through failure, through silence. But every time you choose to keep going, you're building a new you. Every time you say yes to growth and no to comfort, you're proving to yourself that change is possible. You won't always feel ready. You won't always feel strong, but you don't need to. You just need to keep swinging. Keep showing up. Keep deciding that who you're becoming matters more than what you're feeling, that your vision matters more than your fear, that your future is worth more than your excuses, and make no mistake, people will doubt you. People will question you. They'll say you've changed like it's a bad thing. They'll say you're different now. And you'll say, damn right I am. Because you're not here to stay the same. You're not here to make everyone else comfortable. You're here to grow, to evolve, to elevate, and if that makes people uncomfortable, that's their problem, not yours. Fighting for change also means saying no. No to distractions, no to toxic people, no to short-term pleasure that steals long-term peace. It means choosing the hard right over the easy wrong. It means breaking cycles that have lived in your family for generations. It means becoming the version of you that nobody in your past has seen, but everyone in your future will thank you for. You've got to love yourself enough to fight for yourself, not just the image of who you want to be, but the process that gets you there. You've got to believe in yourself when it feels like no one else does. You've got to become your own motivation, your own coach, your own fire, because nobody else can want it for you more than you do. And when it gets real quiet, when the noise fades, when the hype dies down, when it's just you in the dark with your dreams and your doubts, that's when the decision is made. That's when the line gets drawn. Will you keep going? Will you fight for what you said you wanted? Or will you lay down and let life have its way with you? You weren't built to quit. You weren't designed to give up. There's something in you that was made for this battle. There's a fighter inside you that's just been waiting for you to stop pretending you're weak. So dig deep, look inside, find that part of you that refuses to die, the part of you that's still hungry, still dreaming, still willing to rise and give it everything you've got, every day, every step, every breath. Because if you're not willing to fight for your future, you'll end up stuck in your past. Every step matters, even the ones that feel small, even the ones nobody sees, even the ones you don't think are adding up. They are. That's how momentum works. It starts quiet. It starts slow. But every time you move, every time you act, every time you decide to take that next step instead of standing still, you're building something. You're creating a force. And that force is what will carry you when motivation disappears, when energy fades, when the fire doesn't feel so hot anymore. Momentum is the silent power that makes the impossible possible, but you've got to keep stepping. People get this idea in their heads that change has to be massive to matter. They think if they don't do something huge, it's not worth doing at all. But that's a trap. That kind of thinking will paralyze you. It'll keep you stuck in your head, waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect conditions. Meanwhile, life's passing by. The truth is, the ones who win aren't the ones who move big once. They're the ones who move consistently, day in, day out, step by step, inch by inch. You don't need to leap a mountain today. You just need to take the next right step. And then another, and another. That's how momentum is built. It's not sexy. It's not loud. It's not flashy. It's not about hype or highlight reels. It's about movement, repetition, showing up on the days you don't feel like it, doing the work when no one's clapping, pushing forward when the results aren't visible yet. That's what separates the dreamers from the doers, because everybody's got a dream. Everybody's got something they want to become. But not everybody's willing to take that first step, and keep taking steps when it gets hard. That's the difference. Some people wait to feel ready. Others start anyway. Some people need to be motivated. Others build momentum, and motivation fades. But momentum, once it starts rolling, it'll carry you further than motivation ever could. See, most people think success is about one big moment, one breakthrough, one chance. But what they don't realize is that behind every so-called overnight success is 100 nights of struggle, 1,000 small decisions, 10,000 tiny steps that nobody saw, and the only way to get there is to start and keep moving. You can't wait for perfect, you can't wait for easy, and you sure can't wait for confidence to magically show up. Confidence comes after movement, after the reps, after the growth. You build it by doing the thing you thought you couldn't do over and over again. That's how you build a foundation. That's how you create something real, one action at a time. Even on the days you slip, even on the days you fall short, keep stepping, because momentum isn't about perfection. It's about direction. It's about consistency. The goal is forward, not flawless. And every single time you choose discipline over comfort, progress over pause, action over hesitation, you gain ground. You build strength. You become more. Think of it like climbing a mountain. You don't get to the top in one leap. You climb. Sometimes you slip. Sometimes you take a break. Sometimes you're sore, tired, frustrated. But if you keep moving, even just a little bit each day, you get higher. You get closer, and one day you'll look down and realize how far you've come. Not because of one giant jump, but because of every single step you didn't quit on. There's power in small steps. Power in choosing to move when everything in you wants to stay still. Power in saying, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be either. And if you keep going, that's how you become unstoppable, because momentum doesn't just move you physically. It changes you mentally. It changes your identity. It turns you from someone who once hoped into someone who now believes. But that belief, that confidence, it's built, not given, and it's built in the small, quiet moments. The 5 a.m. alarms, the hours spent practicing your craft, the hard conversations you didn't avoid, the workouts you didn't skip, the promises you kept to yourself. That's what creates self-respect. That's what builds trust in your own word. That's what builds the kind of momentum that can't be stopped. And let's be real, some days you won't feel like it. Some days the step feels too heavy, too pointless. But those are the most important days to move. Because when you act in spite of how you feel, you tell your future that you're serious. That you're not a slave to your emotions. That you're committed to growth, no matter how long it takes. You won't always see immediate results. Some progress is invisible. Some growth is underground. Like roots digging deeper before the tree ever rises. But just because you can't see the change doesn't mean it's not happening, it is. Every step forward plants something, strength, discipline, character. And if you keep watering it, keep feeding it, keep walking, eventually it shows, eventually it breaks through. And when it does, it's strong, unshakable, because you built it the right way. Momentum is what carries you through the valleys. Through the waiting, through the setbacks, it's the fire you've been feeding, step by step, day by day. And if you've got momentum, you've got power, you've got leverage, you've got something that compounds, like interest on your effort. And the more you move, the easier it becomes to keep moving. You don't need to see the whole path right now. You don't need to have every answer, every step mapped out. You just need to trust the process. Trust that moving forward, even slowly, is better than standing still. Trust that action creates clarity, that motion generates direction, that your steps are not wasted. You've got to believe that every rep, every word, every act of courage, every choice to stay disciplined is doing something, even when it feels like nothing's changing, because real change doesn't announce itself. It grows in silence, and then one day it explodes. So if you're tired, move anyway. If you're scared, move anyway. If you're doubting yourself, move anyway. Not fast, not perfectly. Just forward, always forward. Because every step you take is a seed, and when you stay faithful to that journey, the harvest always comes. You weren't put here just to survive. You weren't put here just to clock in, pay bills, go home, and do it all over again. There's something bigger at work. Bigger than your schedule, bigger than your routine, bigger than your fears. And until you understand that your life has purpose beyond you, you'll always feel like something's missing. Because it is. See, it's easy to make life about yourself, about your pain, your goals, your needs, your dreams, and sure, those things matter. But if that's all you're living for, then you're only seeing a fraction of what life is trying to do through you. You weren't created just to receive. You were created to give, to serve, to shine, to impact, to make something better than how you found it. There's somebody out there who needs you to win, somebody watching you from a distance. Maybe it's your kids, maybe it's your little brother, maybe it's a stranger who saw something in you, something that reminded them of who they could be. Maybe it's someone who's never even met you, but they will one day. And the version of you that shows up in that moment, that matters more than you know. Purpose isn't always loud. It doesn't always come with a microphone or applause. Sometimes it looks like showing up on a day when you didn't feel like it, because someone needed your presence. Sometimes it's a conversation, a smile, a quiet act of consistency that reminds somebody else not to quit. You might not even realize the weight you carry, the light you bring, just by choosing to be real and keep going. Your breakthrough isn't just about you. Your success isn't just for you to celebrate. Your healing, your strength, your story. It's meant to open doors for other people. It's meant to create pathways to show what's possible, to be living proof that you can come back from failure. That you can rise after being broken, that you can rewrite the story, and maybe nobody gave you that example growing up. Maybe you never saw what greatness looked like up close. Maybe no one handed you a playbook or taught you the rules. But maybe that's exactly why you're here, to be the one who starts it, to be the one who shifts it, to be the one who breaks the cycle and sets a new standard. You think you've been through all that for nothing. You think all that pain, all that pressure, all those nights crying yourself to sleep were just random. No, there's purpose in that. There's weight to it. There's a reason, because now you've got something to say, something to share, something that can help somebody else walk out of the fire they're standing in. And you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing. Willing to keep growing, willing to keep showing up, willing to let your life be about more than just comfort and convenience. Because true purpose will pull you out of your comfort zone. It'll stretch you. It'll challenge you. It'll wake you up in the middle of the night with ideas and convictions that won't let you rest until you act on them. Purpose is inconvenient. It's disruptive. It makes you do things that don't make sense to other people. It makes you care when it's easier to be numb. It makes you move when it's easier to sit still. Because it's not about ego. It's about legacy. It's about the impact that echoes after you're gone. And let me tell you, legacy isn't just about money or buildings or awards. It's about lives touched, hearts changed, people healed because you chose to step into who you were created to be. You don't need 1 million followers to change the world. You don't need a title. All you need is conviction. Consistency and the courage to live with meaning. The world is full of people chasing attention. But what the world really needs is people chasing purpose. People who understand that it's not just about what they get, but what they give. People who know that their actions, their energy, their example is a seed. And seeds, when planted with care and intention, grow into trees that give shade to others. And don't you dare tell yourself that your life doesn't matter just because your progress feels slow. Just because your audience is small, just because you're not where you want to be yet, even in the middle of your process, even in your becoming. You have influence, you have a role, and your consistency might be the very thing holding someone else together. You never know who's watching you, who's being inspired by your perseverance, who's gaining strength because you decided not to quit. You never know whose life is being rewritten because they saw you keep showing up, keep fighting, keep believing. Your story has the power to become someone else's survival guide, and that's what purpose really is. It's a life that echoes far beyond the moment. You think small decisions don't matter, they do. Choosing to be kind when it's easier to be bitter. That matters. Choosing to forgive when revenge feels justified. That matters. Choosing to stand when everyone else sits down. That matters. Every act of purpose is a ripple, and you don't always get to see where those ripples land. But trust, they do. They move through time, through people, through generations. Purpose will keep you anchored when life gets hard, when the money's low, when the feedback's quiet, when the results are slow. Purpose will remind you that you're not doing this for applause. You're doing it because you were called to, because you were born with a reason, because someone, somewhere, is praying for the version of you that you're working to become. And maybe it's not glamorous. Maybe it's not celebrated, but it's real. And real purpose doesn't chase likes. It chases impact. It wakes you up every morning with something bigger than me. And when you tap into that, everything shifts. Your decisions become different. Your habits become intentional. Your vision becomes clear. You start carrying yourself like someone who knows they matter. Because you do. You were born to build something, to carry something, to lead something. Even if it's just one person, one heart, one shift, that's enough. Because purpose isn't measured by numbers. It's measured by meaning. And if your life is full of meaning, if you wake up each day and live with that kind of focus, then you're already winning. You don't need to wait for permission. You don't need to wait until you feel ready. Purpose doesn't require perfection. It requires obedience. It requires movement. It requires the decision to stop living small and start living on purpose.